Hello and welcome back. This is Coach Bowman, your favorite world history teacher. And today we will continue discussing early River Valley civilizations with part two, the other early groups. Please make sure you have your notes ready to go and fill in what we're about to discuss. All right, let me move my little guy out of the way and off we go. Today we're going to take a look at the Phoenicians, the Nubians, and the Hebrews. These three groups are very influential, um, and they are all part of the River Valley systems. In different aspects. The Phoenicians, we'll talk about them a little bit more specifically in regards to their um, financial and economic contributions. Nubians are the same. They do have some political as well as militaristic and economic um, involvement as well. And then the Hebrews, also known as Jews or Israelites, play a major part in the development of religious beliefs throughout the world. So let's go ahead and after you have filled those three names in under the part two of their early groups, we can continue. So first, we're going to start looking at the Phoenicians. The Phoenicians are, as I said, are very well off economically. They aren't focusing on battles. They aren't focusing on conflict or war. They're focusing on making money. And what they do is they develop sea routes, sea trade throughout the Mediterranean coast. And as you can see in this map here, they actually are the ones to go and reach the Atlantic Ocean. There are some thoughts, some theories as to the Phoenicians actually reaching areas, modern day France as well as modern day England. So, very fascinating aspects with that. So, what are their contributions? Again, as we said in the map, and you saw that earlier, you do see that they settle primarily along the Mediterranean coast, developing major cities and ports throughout. They do play a major role throughout the Fertile Crescent. They develop things like glass, and as you can see here over on the right hand side, a vase with glass. They're the first ones. Instead of having clay or wood, glass is a new item at the time. So it becomes more of a luxury item. So think like a big screen TV or a Lexus or an Audi for a vehicle, something like that. So these are the new items at the time. One of the things they also developed was this purple dye that they use for fabrics as well as glass, and you can see the color of the glass with the vase that we mentioned a few minutes ago. But having something other than earth tones, think about the materials that they had at the time. Um, think about the colors. They're very limited, very earth tone, browns and grays and greens. So having something bright, something purplish or bluish in color makes people stand out. Again, it's a luxury item. So both with glass and with the purple dye, their business is going to be booming, especially when it comes to the wealthy. These would be the political leaders, the kings, the queens, the areas of fine wealth. And lastly, probably one of the most influential things is their alphabet, their writing system that they developed, which is what you see down here in this chart. It doesn't look like it I mean, you might see an L here, you might see the X, you might see the W, which we kind of recognize as parts, and the O as parts of our alphabet. And no, that's not for the X-Men symbol. But anyway, um, when we look back, we can kind of trace what the Phoenicians began as a way to record their sales, almost like a receipt, and who likes to purchase what items as a benefit towards them. And so over time, what's going to end up happening is we're going to start to see um, this alphabet change and develop into Greek, into Latin, and then eventually to English, which is what we will use. So, the background about the Nubians. The Nubians are located in Africa, south of Egypt, along the Nile River, between the Nile itself and the Red Sea over here to the right or to the east. With the Nubians, they were able to financially separate themselves from Egypt because of the geography. Remember, as we discussed earlier last week with the Nile River, the southern part down here is going to be higher in the mountains, foothills, so they're going to do a lot of mining. This is the area where the Egyptians are going to go and get the building materials for the Great Pyramids and temples. So it's definitely going to be something that the Egyptians are going to thrive off of. And eventually, the Egyptians are going to go and conquer Nubia because they get tired of paying for those items, and they control Nubia for a very long time. Eventually, the Nubians get sick and tired of Egyptian rule. They rebel and they go and actually overthrow Egypt. And Egypt is actually ruled by the Nubians for several centuries. And on to the Hebrew people. The Hebrews, as we mentioned last week, we mentioned that they settled between the Jordan River Valley and the Mediterranean Sea. And it is there that, being a part of the Fertile Crescent, that they're going to thrive. Their religion is what is known as monotheistic, which we'll get into the details later. But with monotheism, that means they believe in only one God. A lot of your civilizations, a lot of the groups and peoples of the Fertile Crescent believed in what is known as polytheism, which means multiple gods and goddesses. So think about like the Greeks or the Romans that you might be familiar with, or maybe the Native Americans throughout the United States had a polytheistic religious view. So with Judaism, it's very different. So, and this one thing I want you also to kind of keep in mind and remember. Another name for Hebrews is Jews or Israelites. So, if we are mentioning something in a reading, or you're reading something that talks about the Israelites, we're talking about the Jewish people, or the Jews, or the Hebrews. So we're going to stop there. And it's a very short video on this part 2. I appreciate you being here, paying attention, following along, and filling it in. And we will continue with part 3 next time. Thanks. Be safe.